Good day guys, Techno here again. So today I'm going to be doing the Oppo Reno 10x zoom hands-on review. So if you've not subscribed yet, click the subscribe button below and the bell icon to receive notifications anytime I upload a video. Thank you. Oppo Reno 10x zoom hands-on. So behind that name that has less than an ideal ring to it, there's probably a phone with more than one standard feature. So start at top of the most obvious one, the pop-up selfie camera. So Oppo's been adding moving pieces to its phone since way back in 2013 when the N1 dispensed with the front-facing cam by having the main one rotate to take selfies. So the N3 next year added the motor into that mix to make things even cooler. So in more recent times, we have the Find X, which puts all its three cams on the motorized platform, whether it's selfies or photos of not yourself. You hear the motor wiring, but in a good way. For the Reno 10x zone, it's just the selfie cam that rises up from the inside. So it's installed on a motor driving pivot module that opens in 0.8 seconds. So it's quick enough to even be usable for face unlocking purposes. Oppo promises up to 200,000 actuations without fail and quick maps point to 11 years of raising it 50 times a day, which sounds like plenty. The mechanism also has some pads behind it and will retract automatically if the phone senses it's free falling, potentially protecting the shark fin from impact. Additionally, it won't blindly persevere if it feels resistance and will instead try again a moment later. There are other bits on the pop-up piece too. Interestingly enough, the earpiece is there as well. It doesn't need to raise the fin though, as sound does seep in through the tiny gaps, so that one reason fewer to add to your fin actuation count. On the back of its Oppo's placed the dual LED flash. That way it won't spoil the look of the rear panel when it is not in use, which is most of the time. That's not to say there isn't a lot of stuff on the back as it is. A total of 3 cameras are placed along the central axis, and the laser autofocusing window is to their right. So the cameras sit flush with the Gorilla Glass 5 back panel, and if you're worried about them scratching, Oppo's got you covered. The green pimple is not just a design asset, but it is there to keep the cameras away from arm when the phone is lying on a flat surface. So, and those cameras are well protecting indeed. The 10x zoom in the name gives you an idea what to expect, and the specifics go like this. There is a 16mm equivalent ultra wide module and a 160mm telephoto plus a regular 26mm one in between. Oppo choose to count the zoom ratio from ultra wide to telephoto, unlike HUAWEI's 5x, which is from the regular cam to telephoto. So there are arguments in favor of both approaches, but there's no denying that 10 times sounds more impressive. So the Reno 10x zoom will be available in 2 colors, ocean green and jet black. Each of these will come with a distinct finish, or rather the black one will be regular glossy glass, while the green has a matte frosted effect. Okay, so the frame of the phone is made up of aluminium and has a satin finish. There's a power button on the right a little bit above the midpoint, so it's pretty big, which helps usability, and it's got a grain accent which helps look. So the volume buttons are on the left, a bit higher up than the power button. One thing you won't find on the Reno 10x zone is a 3.5mm headphone jack. The USB-C port is centered on the bottom. The card slot is to the left of it, and the primary mic is on the other side. So the main loudspeaker is here too, and it's one of a stereo pair. The earpiece doubles as another channel. Yay. That means you'd be enjoying stereo sound when watching videos on the notchless, near bezel-less AMOLED display. The moving selfie cam has allowed the Reno to have a screen with no cutouts, which is what we are ultimately after. There's a slightly thicker chin below the display, so we've not quite reached the point where a phone is all screen on the front, but we're drawing closer. Being AMOLED, the display has no issues when used outdoors in our Yes, so there's an optical fingerprint reader underneath the display, and it's properly quick. It's perhaps the fastest one we've seen. Oppo Reno 10x zoom camera. As is the norm in the high-end segment this year, the Oppo Reno 10x zoom has 3 cameras on its back, a regular one and ultra wide and telephoto. So it's this last one that sets the Oppo apart from all others. So the telephoto is of the periscope variety, similar to the one on the HUAWEI P30 Pro, but different. The lens on the Reno 10x zoom is longer, 160 versus 125 equivalent, and brighter. And the sensor has more pixels, 13 MP versus 8 MP. There's no details on the size, however, and speculate it's a smaller one for Oppo to be able to pull off this lens specs. There's another aspect to the whole telephoto camera experience, and it relates to the fact that the app interface cycles between 1 times, 2 times, 6 times to 10 times wide modes, and the 6 times setting is the longest optical one at the actual 160 equivalent. So the 10 times setting is hybrid zoom. The ultra wide cam has an 8 MP sensor behind the 16 equivalent lens with f2.2 aperture. Now the press material states 120 degree field of view, which you can get with a 12-ish millimeter lens, while the 16 one gives you more like 107 degrees. Side by side with the 16 HUAWEI P30 Pro, the Reno has the same coverage. So we're deeming the 120 degree claim incorrect. No doubt 16mm and 107 degrees is an ultra wide, of course. So the main camera relies on the now popular 48 megapixels Sony IMX586 quad Bayer sensor that outputs 12 MP images by default. It's a big imager type 1/2.0 with 0.8 individual pixels. The lens in front of it is pretty bright too, sporting an f1.7 aperture. This camera's lens is stabilized as is the one of the telephoto model. Moving on to the periscope, you can see that Reno's extra reach does make a difference. Sharpness is good, though the HUAWEI does manage to output sharper shots when you view them on the pixel level. So here are some comparisons between the Reno 10x zoom camera samples telephoto camera and the P30 Pro camera samples telephoto camera. The Reno's wide camera is just 8 megapixels compared to the P30 Pros. Having said that, the level of capture detail is about on par, as the Reno's ultra wide takes excellent photos. So here's the comparison between the Reno 10x zoom camera sample the ultra wide camera and the P30 Pro camera sample the ultra wide camera. So snapping a selfie is quite the experience. You just don't get the same feeling looking at a punch hole that Reno's shark fin contraption delivers. Naturally, the dim and colorfully lit venue floor isn't the best setting for judging picture quality, but Reno appears to have handled it nicely. So It's a unique phone, the Oppo Reno 10X Zoom. It sparks some of the latest camera tech available and spices things up with a motorized selfie module, while also having all the other markings of a top-tier phone. We're looking forward to getting our hands on a finalized unit for some real testing at this point.
If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below.